Our good Senator Jim Ihhofe is joining us now on News Radio 1000 KTOK. Senator, you have been everywhere, all over the state.
I have been, yeah. I spent one day in southeastern Oklahoma. Yesterday, I was in, McAllister, Ada, Ardmore. And, it's just such a shock that people are not informed. It just seems to me that they came in with a bunch of money and are saying things like water problems and like corporate farming and where there's just no reason to be talking like that. Lee, I don't get involved in state questions. I can't remember the last time I did. But in this case, this is really an extension of what I do in Washington. In Washington, I'm the chairman of a committee called the Environment and Public Works Committee. And the big problem that we have now in public works, we understand that roads, highways, and all that. That's one. But on the environment side, I have jurisdiction over the EPA, and they're trying to overregulate everybody, including farmers. If you talk to the Farm Bureau and ask them the biggest problems that farmers in Oklahoma have, and I'm talking about small farmers, not corporate farmers, but small farmers, they'll say it's overregulation by the EPA. Mm-hmm. Well, then you say, all right, what types of overregulation? Well, WOTUS. WOTUS is Waters of the United States. Forever, the states have had jurisdiction of their own waters, except for navigable waters, and we understand that. And so what liberals want to do is take that jurisdiction away from the states and give it to the federal government. I mean, liberals want everything in the federal government. And so we won. Now, I've been chairman of that committee in Washington for 8-10 years. And we have actually won. They've kind of given up. So now they're the same group is trying to go to the states and do in the states what they couldn't do in the federal government. So the issue is very simple. First of all, you have to know the Farm Bureau. These are really good people. They're good, honest, conservative people. They don't have any. They don't have the large corporate farms. These are some 30,000 small farms throughout Oklahoma. Well, they are making an effort to stop outsiders from coming in. And let me tell you who the outsiders are. The Humane Society of the United States. It's run by a guy named Wayne Pacelli. We had Wayne Pacelli in my committee as a witness, and he's referred to by a lot of people as a eco-terrorist. What he does, it's an animal rights type of a thing, where if you somehow are abusing or they're accusing you of abusing someone, then they go out and they harass the families of the people. They go to the schools where the kids are in elementary school and scare the kids. They're terrorists, and we call them, the term is eco-terrorists. And so we have been watching this for a long period of time. I can remember when our own Attorney General, Scott Pruitt, came in, and he did, really a good job and ended up actually suing him. This group in places like, let's say, California, they say, well, we think that chickens should be in larger cages. And so they demanded that at the state level in California. Now eggs cost 5 times as much as they did before, and those are the people that are really suffering. So the far left environmentalist groups, I remember talking to you back when we had that terrible tornado in Moore in 2013.
13, yeah.
And I remember being over here right after that, and we had this guy, Wayne Pacelli, with the Humane Society. He came in and said, well, we want to come in and save all the dogs and cats and all the problems that are there. And so he raised money in Oklahoma, and using the dogs and cats as a reason during the course right after the tornado took place. Mm-hmm. He raised $1.7 million, but then he only spent $110,000 in terms of
helping out. Yeah.
Well, because of that, our Attorney General, Scott Pruitt, and very responsibly, filed a lawsuit against him. And right now they are negotiating with them, trying to get the money back from the Oklahomans that he'd fleeced the money out of. Well, anyway, I was shocked when I came back from Washington, and I saw that the people were opposing the right to farm. That's State Question 777. It's put together by the farmers in Oklahoma who want to continue to grow their crops the way they want to grow the crops, to maximize it. It's highly competitive. They're not making a lot of money. They're just trying to exist. And we don't want outsiders, the same as we don't want them in Washington coming in and making the decisions for individuals.
Senator, now, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I mean, this is the EPA and other entities. I mean, EPA is not the only one. I understand OSHA is trying to interfere with how farmers farm, what machinery, what people can use certain machinery on the farms. This will alleviate that problem with our local farmers.
It'll let the local farmers do what they want to do. Now, there's some things we should be able to carry even further. That is, for example, endangered species. We have farmers who are not able to plow fields because there might be a burying beetle there, or we have road builders who have to deviate and costing millions of dollars, so they're not in a suspected habitat. Well, that isn't actually, it's addressed, and it would be another step to be able to allow the people to grow what they can grow best. And it's in Washington, it's a different world up there. They think that nothing's done right unless it's supervised by Washington. And that's what they want to do. Yes, you're right, Lee. It's not just the EPA. But when I asked Tom Buchanan, who's the head of the Farm Bureau in Oklahoma, what is the biggest problem we have, and he says the overregulation of the EPA. Yes, it's also the overregulation of other bureaucrats telling us in Washington what we can and can't do. It just happens that the biggest single problem that we have is called WOTUS. WOTUS means Water of the United States. And it's always been, as we mentioned before, it's always been a state issue. And if the federal government, I was out the other day in the Panhandle, and out there it's very dry, it's very arid. And yet, if they would come along and have a rain where there is standing water for a period of time, if this is regulated by the federal government, Lee, I can tell you, they'd be in there right now just looking for ways to put people out of business. That's just the way they do it. Is this partisan? Yeah, it is partisan. The Democrats are for it, and they're trying to win over Republicans. The two individuals who are in charge of the program are Drew Edmondson and David Walters. Now, they're both good guys and all that, but they are kind of has-beens. They haven't won an election in the last in quite a number of years. In fact, David Walters' last campaign was against me.
Okay.
So these are Democrats, and it has turned into a partisan battle because, as a general rule, the Democrats want regulation, and they want regulation at the federal level. And that's exactly what State Question 777 would free the farmers from. So I'm going around. I've been all over the state, and it's been real gusty, hot weather, and I'm flying a little airplane around to let the people know that to vote yes on 777 and vote with our farmers, as opposed to those who want to come into Oklahoma and take over the jurisdiction from our farmers.
And another issue, I mean, you mentioned about the waters. I mean, I'm trying to kind of dumb this down a little bit too, this State Question 777, because just yesterday in our conference, someone was asking me about it. If a farmer wanted to use a certain water that is on his property, a certain waterway, and the state gave him permission to do that, this will allow him to do that without any federal government coming in and saying, no, you cannot do that.
It is under state jurisdiction. See, I have yet to hear the water argument. I saw a billboard that said, save our waters, vote no on 777. It's just the opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put anything you want on a billboard. And then I saw another one yesterday. I think it was in Ada, that said, save us from the big corporate farms.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Implying that it is the Tysons in Arkansas, and that has nothing to do with this issue. This merely lets the jurisdiction take place, as it should, by our own farmers.
Yeah, Senator Jim Ihhofe joining us. You've recently met with Donald Trump.
Well, I did. I met with Donald Trump. I got a phone call on a Wednesday, a couple of weeks ago, and it's from Donald Trump. He said, "Would you come in for a meeting at the Trump Tower on Friday?" And I said, "Yeah." Now, I have to say, Lee, Donald Trump was not my choice. Actually, Rubio was my choice, but he didn't make it.
Yeah.
And I pride myself in being the chairman of a club in Washington called the ABC Club. That's anybody but Clinton. And I just can't. If Clinton pulls this off, it's going to be 4 more years of Barack Obama. And I don't think our country can take it. I really don't. I'm the ranking member. I have been the ranking member on the Armed Services Committee in the Senate. And I've seen what they have done to our military, the disarming of America. If you don't believe it, talk to any of our kids that are coming back with Oklahoma 45th, any of our Guard people that have been over there, and they'll tell you what has happened. And why should defending America be a partisan issue? It shouldn't be, but it is. I'm going to tell you something that even in all your wisdom, Lee, you don't even know. That is, if you go back to 1964, we spent 52% of all of our revenues defending America. Today, it's 15%.
Wow.
And so we are just not doing the job. And the Democrats have a policy, Obama's policy. We can't put any more money in the military unless we put an equal amount into social programs. And so we no longer have that as a priority. So anyway, yes, I was invited to talk to be an advisor in a small group of people to Donald Trump on what he should do to strengthen our military, to do the job, and to put America back where our allies will respect us again. Because they don't respect us. Our enemies don't fear us. They put the line in the sand in Syria, and then they walk away from it. And so people don't. I was over in Ukraine. And I was talking to Poroshenko during the last parliamentary election they had. He was so proud because in that election, for the first time in 96 years, Lee, 96 years, there is not one communist on the parliament of our good friend over there in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Well, immediately after that election, Putin went in and started killing the Ukrainians, and our president wouldn't allow us to send any defensive weapons over there. They're our friends, like Israel is our friends. And that's what the problem is with our military right now and what's happened. So I'm going to do what I can. As I say, Trump was not my choice. He is my choice now. And for the sake of our kids that are over there defending America, standing in harm's way, we've got to elect him as opposed to Hillary.
I had a similar story from Congressman Russell last week about his visit to Ukraine. I don't know if he was with you or not.
No. Actually, I was there during the parliamentary election.
Okay.
He was there after that.
But it was a similar story.
Sure.
A similar story. Now, and that's also good news because we're not hearing a lot out of the Trump campaign about specifics about defense and things like that. It's good to know that he's concerned with it and he's working on it.
Well, yeah, and I'm hoping in the last debate that they'll do that. He's let them get under his skin by all these accusations of people coming up after 30 years accusing me of doing something 30 years ago. And, that has nothing to do with how he's going to run this country and get out of these liberal policies of Obama. And I hope that all he has to do is not respond to that, in my opinion. And I think that he's going to come. People are going to realize we can't take 4 more years of Obama, which is what we'd have with Hillary Clinton.
Senator Ihhofe, where are you off to next?
Well, I'm going to be in Oklahoma City all day today, and then I'm going to start working in the Northwest.
Okay. And vote yes on 777?
Vote yes on 777 and do it for the right reasons. Just don't believe all the signs that you hear that the water's an issue. Yes, water's an issue. We want to keep control of our water in Oklahoma and not the federal government. So just don't believe the billboards and believe your farmers, your small farmers in Oklahoma and the Oklahoma Farm Bureau, and vote yes on 777.
Senator Ihhofe, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be with you, Lee.